Hey everybody! Welcome back
What up,
to
yo?
Cryptic Encounters. Dun dun dun.
How's everybody doing?
How's everybody doing today? It's pretty warm out.
Coming from you from the old garage studio.
Yes. And we have some stuff to talk about from last week's Elgin Paranormal Travels, which was Oregon, Illinois, and the Conover Square factory. Or mall. That was a factory. A piano factory.
Piano factory.
So, do we want to go ahead and say we didn't capture anything on the audio from our little mini investigation?
Yep, nothing there.
And though the Ovilus, the app Ovilus,
Yeah,
gave us some interesting little tidbits of stuff,
right.
we don't in any way hold that as evidence of anything.
No.
It's just interesting to experiment with. So, barring said no audio was captured, we'll get into the history. So,
Conover Square.
let me get my... All right, so, we got Conover Square Mall in Oregon, Illinois. And, what did it start out as? Well, it is actually believed that the Schaefer Piano Company was the original builders of the piano factory.
Correct.
And later they were bought by Schiller. So we don't know when that was. It's probably in between while they were building it because it was actually built between 1890 and 1910. So it took 20 years to build it. And that wasn't even the additions. The additions were added on after they opened, and they were just adding on.
Right.
So
It's like almost like a work in progress type thing.
4 floors?
Yeah,
And the 3rd and 4th floor they don't use. Those are just
probably storage.
vacant storage, whatever. But anyway, so between 1890 and 1910, it was built.
Mm.
The Schiller Piano Factory operated from 1910 to 1971.
Mm.
So it was a pretty decent time. And then it became a mall, which had various shops, and that started in 1978. So between 71 and 78, they were probably getting ready to renovate it into a mall. Also, the Schiller Piano Factory only operated independently from 1910 to 1936. Because what happened was a cable company came in, and they partnered up, and then they pretty much produced pianos under the name Cable and Conover, which
That's where the Conover name came through.
Yes. So, that's pretty much all of the history on the building itself.
Right.
There's not much information out there. I mean, if you guys want, you could probably Google around or something and maybe find a little bit more.
We can put links in the description as well.
Well, yeah, most of this came from the main website, and then they also have a ghost tours website because they do ghost tours at the Conover Square Mall, which is...
Yeah, they do overnights and stuff if you want to pay them.
Also, both links are in the previous video when we actually went to Oregon, Elgin Paranormal Travels. So, we're going to get into a little bit of the area. As we know, the building is right there on the Rock River, and across from that is the state park. We know that was Native American ground before the Europeans settled here. And there are actually mounds of burial mounds that are close proximity to the factory.
Yep.
Which we didn't go look for. I would like to go back out there and see where they are at in proximity to the building.
Right.
But we haven't done that yet. So we lead into our claims of activity, and this is coming from shop owners, people who have investigated there, people who are just walking the mall.
Right.
So we'll get in. There's not many claims, and I know it hasn't had a lot of investigators there. It's like local teams, and maybe I think the Kling brothers actually investigated.
Yeah, the Kling brothers actually investigated there, and they also had a like an event there a couple years ago.
Yeah, so that's pretty much like it's not very well investigated, or probably very well known.
Right. I mean, it's known to those in the
locally and
in the paranormal circles, that people that research in this area and stuff like that do the whole like northern Illinois and stuff like that.
So let's start with the claims. I think David should read some of the claims.
All right, claims of activity. Remember. So, a young girl giggling in the museum and in the hallways. So this is supposedly heard by shop owners, people that shoppers, and people that have investigated the place. So they hear, a young girl giggling in the hallways, and no one knows where it's coming from.
And the museum is the Billy Barnhart Museum that was upstairs that we couldn't get into this time because it was closed.
Yeah, and then we'll insert some photos from that museum that we couldn't get into when we went there to do our video shoot. And like I said, the way the mall's, it's weird to call it a mall because when you look at it, it just looks like this huge building from like the video and the pictures you've seen. So you don't really know what you're really walking into. It just looks like this huge building with some storefronts or a Spanish restaurant and stuff like that.
It's not your typical mall.
No, this is more like your
an antique mall.
Right.
It's an antique mall.
It's an antique mall. It's a mall for people that there's this one shop called Earth Reclaimers, and they got stuff in there from like the people that have like totally have collected things for their whole life are the people that are like in this place. Mm-hmm. So you're gonna find stuff from like the 20s, 30s, all the way up until today.
And the people are super friendly.
Oh, yeah.
Super friendly.
It's almost like a place where people have businesses, but they come and go as they please. So, like, some people that have a business on the upstairs, there's this one guy that has a business there that he owns like 3 businesses in that building. Mm-hmm. And people come up and go, I want to buy it. Because there's stuff just sitting in the hallway. Like, I want to buy this.
They have a lot of faith in people
right.
stealing stuff.
Right. Oh, yeah. Like I said, you go there and it's just right there, and then you'd be like, let me know if you want to buy that, and I'll, take, then they'll give them the money. People do art, sell their own art. There's a beauty salon.
I think they have crafting places in there, too.
Crafting, clothes,
sewing.
There's people that hand make stuff. There's, like I said, there's museum in there. There's model trains, like the biggest trains I've ever seen in my life. They had like this, there was one part in the video where like she looked in on stuff, and the track was like, like this is a place you go if you have like antique trains and stuff you will never find anywhere. Mm-hmm. That's the place to go. It's
interesting because when you think back to the claims and stuff of activity,
right.
And you look for, maybe you look at there's some records online that you see that are from back in the day when it was a piano factory.
Right.
And the interesting part is there are a couple stories in there where people actually cut off a finger, severed part of their hand.
Right. Like, work accidents and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's cool to see, like, when you look it up, there's some files of old newspaper clippings.
Right. Nothing like deaths or dismemberment or anything like that.
But, like we said, it has all this antique stuff.
Yeah.
And there are a lot. You look at how we theorize that attachments work.
Right.
If they even are real at all.
You hear people like, you go somewhere, kind of like with the last story that we had, that things come from places and then they'll either follow you or they stay with the object that they haunt or whatever you want to call it. So I could totally see why stuff in that place would bring. There's so much stuff.
All right, so getting back into the paranormal claims, we had a young girl giggling in the museum and in the halls. Mm-hmm. Loud crashes coming from the unoccupied 3rd floor. Being touched in the basement, which we didn't get to check out. I take it that's only for personnel and workers.
Right, they're not gonna lay down.
Well, ghost tours, I'm sure they will.
But I'm just saying you just can't walk down the basement.
No. South hallway, they feel a presence of a man, and people have heard male laughter. And then feelings of being followed.
Right.
Which, you can't base the feelings because just being in that place, I think I even mentioned it in that video, in our last video. When you're walking through those hallways, there's creaks, it's dark, there's closed stores. It just feels ominous in some areas of the place.
When you walk in there, you get this sense of like something.
Of being closed in too, because the hallways, like I said, there's different hallways split off.
Right.
And they go down and they're dark at the end, and they're very they're not wide.
No.
So it almost feels like you're closed in. And
right, it gives you that effect of like, that long hallways.
Yeah, like somebody could be there. There's a heaviness. There could be somebody watching you or following.
Well, plus it's the wood the smell, like it's old. This building is old.
Oh yeah.
So you get the sense when you walk in, you feel the heaviness, the smell. I mean, it's like walking into what history.
An old house.
Yeah,
Dude.
it's history, and you can feel it when you walk in there.
You can smell it.
You can smell it, feel it, like it's all around you. Mm-hmm.
But on that note, that's pretty much the claims that I was able to find. I mean, you guys might be able to browse a little bit more and find more claims, especially from paranormal teams that have investigated the place. Mm-hmm. But that's all I was able to find on the main websites, which are actually I'll put them in this description, but they're also in the last video's description too. So feel free to go click those links and check them out. One of them is actually the ghost tours. So if you're interested in a ghost tour and you're in the area, check
it's
it
something
out,
you want to do, and go ahead, go for it. I mean, it's a cool place. I mean, definitely, it's a cool place to investigate for sure.
I said, whether it's haunted
check
or
it
not.
off the list,
Whether it's haunted or not, it's just a really cool place.
Museum that you can go in and see all the old stuff from the people that settled the town. There's, everything.
It's actually set up like the old town.
They have old like Model Ts. It's crazy. It's in there.
It's like a garage that it's in.
And then when you go in there's a vibe too.
Oh yeah.
There's a vibe too. You just feel...
There is a vibe up in the top part there by the museum.
Right.
But also too, it's warm. There's no air conditioning. Like you could tell, they have fans all over the place where the shops are.
It's not unbearable or anything in there.
But once you get in that museum, there's no fans, and you can tell that the temperature just goes. So be prepared to sweat in there.
Right, unless you go into the fall and it's like 50, 60 degrees.
Yeah,
which probably be the best time to go out.
Don't go in 100-degree weather.
Right. I mean, the fall time is probably the best because just the scenery around that place in Oregon, Illinois is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Like, you got the state parks, you got Black Hawk, you got 2 state parks. It's just insane how big it is, and you can get lost there for hours. I mean,
and a staircase that will torture
and
you.
It's a block away. You know what I mean? So you can ride on the Rock River, you can hang there, you can go on the boats, the old steamboats. I mean, there's so much stuff to do there. You feel like you're in another...
You feel like you're on vacation.
Right.
But anyway, on a wrap on the Oregon, besides that staircase that makes you sleep for days afterwards.
Right. The incline is like 300 feet, yeah.
But other than that...
if you're not in shape in that particular thing, it'll take a while.
Dude, and people were just like...
It's a 300-foot vertical drop. Like, it's stairs after stairs, and you feel like you're falling the whole time.
Yeah, but going down...
And then going up, you feel like you get that sense of almost like you're going to fall backwards because... Yeah. If you ever go there, you'll know.
Well, we stopped at every landing, and there had to be at least, 10 staircases.
Yeah, and there's 30 stairs per...
And we're standing there dying, ready to go to the next one, and people are just, jogging down it.
Yeah,
people
everyone's fit, there's kids, of course.
And here we are, But anyway.
But there's so much to do. You can go walk around there, travel around, eat at some really, really good places.
Actually, you went to camp in 6th grade out there.
Yeah, Laredo Town, Black Hawk. Yep. Like I said, if you were a history person or a history nut about the Black Hawk, war and stuff like that, and just the history of that part of Illinois, and there's history wherever you go. It's just if you're interested enough, there is a lot of stuff to learn about, stuff like that, and to see something to do besides out of the norm that we do every day, right?
So some of you may remember us as Elgin Paranormal Investigators. We were founded by Greg Stout in 2006. First investigation, I think, was 2007. And we kind of disappeared for a while. And that was...
Life happens.
Mostly because we had to say goodbye. We lost our founder, Greg Stout, back in 2016. So between that time and this time, a lot of the team members have, been living life.
Yeah.
Been living life. And we decided that we need to bring EPI back.
In some fashion.
Because there are a lot of paranormal teams out there. And there's a lot of stuff that's been televised.
If you keep up on that stuff, you'll know what we're talking about.
that we're not so happy about being televised because it gives the field a bad rap. So, in honor of Greg's memory and in honor of Greg's legacy,
and everybody, the whole team,
we don't want to let what we've been doing for so long, which is investigating and researching the paranormal, we don't want to just let that fade away. Because we are still a very big part of the field.
Just in different capacity.
And it is just... It's Greg was very passionate about our team and about the paranormal. So, we want to keep that. Elgin Paranormal. We really don't have a full team. It's pretty much just you and I and whoever else wants to
join in if we ever do go for.
I mean, any of our investigators are always welcome on anything we do. I mean, the investigations have kind of changed a little bit.
The dynamic is very different now.
Post-COVID.
The dynamics are very different. Now everything's pay to play type thing. Like you got to go and pay to get in.
Well, not only that, but what we really did mostly was we investigated private homes and businesses.
Right.
And today it's a little different with that.
Right.
So
things are a lot different now than they used to be.
We decided there's a lot more we can add to this. Like I said, we can go out. We want to take you on historic travels. Right. Some maybe paranormally
and
related.
A lot of stuff out there that you may see our old videos on YouTube and stuff, but no one knows the story or the background on that. So we could give you fill in on investigations of stories behind the scenes.
Yeah.
What went on, what the story was, how everything's laid out instead of just, well, there it is, but how did this
transpire? Yeah.
Like, how did this people call from the day you get contact to the day you have an investigation to the day you try to figure out what's going on?
I mean, we won't be releasing any names or addresses because, like I said, this is personal homes and personal businesses.
Right.
Which is what we mostly focused on.
Back then, yeah.
We did a few, we did Morse Mill Hotel in Missouri. Mm-hmm. We investigated there. We investigated a few different places that weren't...
South Moon.
Yeah, they weren't like private homes.
Right.
But, for the most part, back then we did focus on personal
the bulk of everything
homes.
was personal.
So we will go over those files and maybe, go over some of the evidence that we captured and go over some of the experiences we had.
Right. And touch on some things that other things people in the field don't touch on.
Yeah.
Because everyone's running around screaming demons are everywhere, which makes everything convoluted because that is 100% not real.
We know.
The demon. Well, but with the hauntings, with the stuff you see out there, every place they go,
it's highly exaggerated.
It is insane and exaggerated. And then if you go on a real investigation, you're like, when's anything going to happen?
You know how many nights we sat there with nothing going on?
Right, dead silent.
Dead silence. You go back over all the footage. You go over the video. You go over the audio. Nothing.
And it's investigation after investigation after investigation. You might get tidbits and maybe something special, but from what they would have you believe on YouTube or on television is completely not. To be honest with you, you would have to go on an investigation with a team, a legitimate team, to actually feel what it's like to be on that investigation and the process and how, you got 5 cameras going, 8 hours that's 40 hours of footage. 40 hours of audio.
It's not barring the equipment until the recorders run.
Right. So actually the investigation's one aspect of the full meal. Mm-hmm. Like you're doing more research like a private investigator just to find out if there's a noise or something goes across the screen real fast just to find something. That's where the real work comes in on that. Mm-hmm. And they never emphasize that. It's just like, oh yeah, and then the next day they went over, 2 days of footage in 8 hours and everything's there and ready to go. Like they don't allow that. It takes a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of concentration to look for just minuscule things that might be out of place or stuff that's right in your face. But you got to find that with all that footage.
It's a lot of work. It's not just walking around investigating.
So when everybody's like, yeah, I'll go on an investigation, but it's like, well, you're not going to put in the work afterwards.
You have to put in the work afterwards.
Yeah. Who's going to sit down and watch all this and relive the night for the next couple days of just sitting there listening to everything, just to find that one breath or that one door slam or someone breathing, or most of the time it's someone's stomach.
It's in his stomach a lot of times.
What was that? Oh, that was me. I'm hungry.
But on that note. But yeah, you're gonna see a lot more from us. Like I said, we're trying out 2 little things right now. One is Elgin Paranormal Travels, where we take you to like little parts of our state.
Small little.
Maybe there's a little mini investigation if we can do it.
Yeah.
And then
you never know who's gonna talk to you.
And then our other one is just like this, our little small mini podcast, which is Cryptic Encounters, where we talk about stories and talk about our cases and
behind the scenes stuff that nobody ever mentions or talks about, or how did this become this from the day of contact.
If you guys are interested, on our YouTube page, I have a whole bunch of playlists that link up to our other YouTube accounts, because we can't get into them. Those are very old accounts, and we can't get into them anymore. So I have put playlists linking to all of our previous videos on our previous Elgin Paranormal and Elgin Paranormal Investigator YouTubes. So check those out.
Right. A lot of stuff there. I mean, some of that stuff's 15 years old, so we've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyway, on that note, enjoy your day, and we will be back at you with more. Okay, guys, so until next time, subscribe, like the video, and if you want, hit that little ding-a-ling-a-ling bell if you want to know when we post. Leave us a comment and leave us some questions. Ask us some questions, or give us some ideas. Maybe you want us to check out a place.
Or if you're like, well, what do you think about this, or what are your thoughts on that? Just if you have a question, just ask it.
Yep.
We'll
be more than happy to talk
it'll be
about.
more like, I'm gonna tell you what we've come across. I mean, it's honest,
We'll bring it to you straight and honest.
Yeah, we'll bring it to you like it, and not tell you that there's a demon living in your phone. That's right.
So we'll be back at you. Take care, everybody.
Hey, y'all.